Podcasts and presidents. This year's election is unlike any other, and the nominees know it. We used to think of the big network interviews, right, with the candidates on Sunday night. Now, with so many getting their news and information on multiple platforms, Trump and Harris are going where the people are. Podcasts. Case in point, the Joe Rogan Experience, the most popular podcast on both Spotify and Apple. 32 million subscribers, mostly young men. Over 80% male, in fact, and nearly 60% under the age of 34. For many of those voters, this will be their first presidential election that they'll exercise their right at the ballot box. A little about Joe Rogan. He rose to fame as a UFC commentator, has been described in the past as generally a libertarian politically, pro-gun, pro-weed, pro-same-sex marriage. He came out hard, though, against COVID-19 regulations, praised figures like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and even admitted in a conversation on his show once that he thought things were better under the Trump administration.
I felt like he did a decent job.
As president, when
Yeah.
you look at his regulations, it certainly helped the economy. I mean, that guy who was the
I
head
feel like
of,
we were in a lot better spot then than now, for sure.
without a doubt.
So Trump is going to sit down with Rogan today on his show. Both of the candidates have appeared on other podcasts. Trump, however, more so, making more than twice the non-TV, radio, or print appearances than VP Harris. The strategy here, you may ask, well, according to New York Times reporting, Trump's team is looking to activate voters who may like Trump, but they don't necessarily vote. His appearance on the podcast Flagrant, for example, appealing directly to a generation who were born into a world powered more and more by influencers.
Knowing nothing about influencers, I said, who is the biggest of all the influencers? Sir, that's the easiest question you've ever asked me. Who is it? You, sir.
That's true.
I said, me. I never thought of it. He said, you're the biggest. You have hundreds of millions of people. You have more people than anybody else by far.
Harris sees the value here, too, appearing on shows like Call Her Daddy, the second biggest podcast on Spotify behind Rogan, which has an overwhelmingly female audience, most under the age of 35. Harris hit hard on her most popular issue, abortion rights.
I was the first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic, ever.
Really?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Harris is also hoping to gain support among black men, going on shows hosted by black men like All the Smoke and soon Club Shay Shay, where they're going to be talking about a number of issues, including abortion rights. She was supposed to, or there was talk she was going to go on Joe Rogan, her campaign now saying that is not going to happen.
Unfortunately, it isn't going to work out right now because of the scheduling of this period of the campaign. But, you know, she's taking her message to these huge platform audiences, even like Club Shay Shay.
When thinking about who you'll vote for come November, how much does McDonald's come up? Both candidates have been talking a lot about the fast food chain this election, and the debate about the Golden Arches is now coming to a head. Trump's saying he'll man the fry cooker at McDonald's in Philadelphia this Saturday.
I think I'm going to go to a McDonald's next week someplace. I'm going to go, might not be in your place. I'm going to go to a McDonald's, and I'm going to work the French fry job for about a half an hour. I want to see how it is.
Now, before he decided on this temporary career, Vice President Harris has, of course, touted her time working at McDonald's in the 80s while going to college. She's used this anecdote on the campaign trail to highlight her middle-class background.
I just want to ask you yes or no. At any point in your life, have you served 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, working at a McDonald's? Yes or no? That's it.
I have.
Okay. Now the other job. But
it was not a small job. Like, I did the fries.
All right, so Vice President Harris claiming her time at the fryer there on MSNBC. Her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, has also highlighted this background, using it to draw the difference between Harris and her opponent.
Can you simply picture Donald Trump working at a McDonald's trying to make a McFlurry or something? He knows us. He couldn't run that damn McFlurry machine if it cost him anything, so...
Okay, so President Trump says he doesn't believe VP Harris ever worked at McDonald's. Here he is calling her out at a rally.
She never worked there. And these fake news reporters will never report it. They don't want to report it because they're fake. They're fake.
Now, fact-checking site Snopes calls Harris's claim to McDonald's fame unproven, given that McDonald's itself isn't rushing to confirm she worked for them, and there aren't any pictures or pay stubs independently verifying Harris's time at the Golden Arches. In the vice president's defense, however, McDonald's says 1 in 8 Americans have been behind the counter at one point in their life. They say it's a job that builds valuable skills, maybe even skills that a president could take to the White House. If so, President Trump will reportedly find this out Sunday.
Other nations have been stealing the movie-making capabilities from the United States. If they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in.
President Trump announcing Sunday that movies produced overseas will now face 100% tariffs. Taking to Truth Social, saying that we want movies to be made in America again, and we might have a point, or he might have a point when you look at some of the numbers. According to research firms, in 2023, 40% of movies with budgets of more than $40 million chose to film outside of the U.S. in some capacity. In L.A., there has been a 40% drop in TV and film production over the past decade, according to Film L.A. While some of that is to competition right here in the U.S., cities like Atlanta, for example, the drop is something actors and producers talk about as well. Here's former Parks and Rec stars Adam Scott and Rob Lowe on Lowe's podcast talking about this.
It's cheaper to bring 100 American people to Ireland than to walk across the lot at Fox.
Right.
Past the sound stages and do it there.
Crazy. Do you think if we shot Parks right now, we would be in Budapest?
100% we would be. It's criminal what the California and LA have let happen.
At the same time, film and TV production are one of the things that we actually have a trade surplus on, with up to $15.3 billion worth being exported in recent years.
We need people to march. We need people to talk. We need people to stand up.
Senator Cory Booker and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries there sitting on the steps hosting a Capitol sit-in Sunday, criticizing President Trump and Republicans' budget as reckless. The lawmakers told those in attendance that Trump administration proposals would hurt Americans who use programs like Medicaid, food assistance, and other safety nets while expanding tax breaks for the wealthy. Jeffries invoking civil rights leaders of the past to talk about a path forward for Democrats at a time when it's unclear what direction the party will take. Meanwhile, there's this. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker speaking at a Democratic fundraiser, this in New Hampshire.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
Pritzker is the latest Democrat calling for Democrats to strike back at the Trump administration with his Republicans cannot know a moment of peace line. He joins Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders, who have been touting their own fight oligarchy message across the country. And then new this week, Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan testing out some new messaging herself, saying Democrats need to address their weak and woke image. Senator Slotkin reportedly going so far as to say Democrats need to take the flag back, going on to say that they need alpha energy of a football coach from her state. Senator Slotkin is also criticizing the messaging of fellow Democrats going after Sanders and AOC's fight oligarchy message. According to her, the message only resonates with coastal audiences. She says instead Democrats could use the phrase kings. Senator Sanders pushing back on that, saying his 30,000-person rallies in Colorado and rural California say different.
I think the American people are not quite as dumb as Ms. Slotkin thinks they are. I think they understand very well. When the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90%, when big money interests are able to control both political parties, they are living in an oligarchy.